Those are the dodgy tabs. Okay, so I want to talk you through a scenario that I was in myself. So, my name is Mark. I run a consultancy. I can't work with that many people, but I work with agencies and B2B software companies with generating new pipeline and also closing more deals. I wanted to find agency owners who were more likely to spend money on me and have money to spend on growth. So I got to thinking, how do I find agencies? Because there's 50,000, 100,000 agencies out there. How do I pinpoint the agencies who are more likely to be looking to invest in the growth of their business? So I thought, what I want to do is identify some of the companies on LinkedIn that they might be following, or the influencers and the professionals they might be following on LinkedIn, and then work out a way to start a conversation with them based on the fact that they're following them. So just to give an example, I'll walk through the whole workflow, and there's a table at the end, you can have the template. But what I want to do is identify the competitors or influencers who my audience are looking at and following. I then want to acquire that data, so how do I scrape that data? I then want to check against my ICP. So I have a particular set of ICP definition that I want to target. And then also I want to engage them. How do I reach out to them? So to give a real simple example, Cactus is a company that does M&A, so mergers and acquisitions, and private equity for agencies. So I thought, if somebody's following Cactus on LinkedIn, they are probably looking to sell their agency, they're probably looking to grow, they're probably looking to spend money on increasing the revenue within their agency. So I thought, Cactus, 4,000 people here, perfect hunting ground for me to get my bow and arrow out and spear some of these fish. So I wanted to get 4,000 people that are following Cactus. And of course, there's going to be other companies like Cactus, there's going to be other influencers that are talking about profitability, talking about exits, talking about various other things which are aligned to my ICP, ideal customer profile that I want to reach out to. So I came across Sambath. He randomly messaged me on LinkedIn one day. This guy, he basically can scrape your competitors' followers on LinkedIn, something that you can't do. You can't do with your own profile, you can't do with Phantom Buster. I don't know how he does it. I have asked, he has not told me. He has a secret. But he charges the beautiful price of $45 for every 10,000 contacts he finds for it. So I said, Sambath, take my money. And if there's any way I can work with you, I will. So I went to Sambath and I said, here are the 5 companies that I want to get the followers of. And I want you to go and find all of the people that are following these people. Now, it doesn't mean that every one of these people that are following the company is in market or is an ideal customer profile for me, but I've really narrowed down my target of who I want to reach out to. So I worked with Sambath. Sambath said, hey Mark, it's going to cost you, I think it was like $120, and here's all the followers of all of these different people. And they are tagged by geo, got their LinkedIn profile, their full name, their first name, their last name, job title, company name, LinkedIn company, all this information. I'm like, great, Sambath, thank you so much for charging me $120 for tens of thousands of rows of data. Now what do I do with it? So that's where I need to go and look at Clay and see how Clay can help me enrich this data. First of all, I want to find out whether the companies and the people fit the criteria that I'm looking for. So if I just go back here, I've identified the people, I have acquired the data. Sorry, the reason why I've said no to Phantom Buster is because Phantom Buster uses your own session cookie on LinkedIn, and if you're scraping at scale, you can get in trouble with LinkedIn. And I see LinkedIn as being a hugely valuable asset of mine that I really don't want to risk anything going wrong. So I use that, and however he does it. There's also another tool here called Triggerfy. I haven't focused so much on it because I'm like one of the product advisors for Triggerfy. They've just released a social listening element to their tool. And here you can see Dave Gahart. He used to work at Drift, quite a well-known marketer. There's Sangram Vaji. He co-founded Terminus and is very well-known in that sort of enterprise marketers. And what I'm doing here in Triggerfy is looking at who are the people who are engaging in Sangram's posts and also Dave Gahart's posts. And within 24 hours, there are 140 new people in Dave Gahart's space, and then 136 new people engaging in Sangram, on his post, sorry. And these could be posts from this week, last week, months ago. But if these people are engaging with these influencers, maybe they're the type of people I need to be speaking to. So I'm just giving a slightly different example. Trigify actually has an integration with Clay where you can push this data to Clay. But because this is in like beta, I didn't really want to showcase exactly how this works because not everybody has access to Trigify. But keep an eye out on Trigify, great team behind it. But now we're back to the competitor followers that Sambath from Scrapely has sent me. And I need to check against my ICP criteria. And then of course I want to add additional information. That additional information might be things I want to say in a message. It might be referencing the size of the company. It might be referencing the location. It might also just be verifying their email address. So if I just go through some of the let me just zoom in a little bit. So the enrichments that I have in Clay, I will get to Clay in a minute. I'm using the Lead Magic API twice. First of all, to enrich the person. Secondly, to enrich the company. Then I'm using OpenAI / Clayagent. So I'm using Clayagent, but I'm using the OpenAI API, which is a mouthful to say, we say it often, to determine whether these companies are the right fit for me. And then I want to waterfall enrich the email to make sure that I'm finding the right email for the people that I want to reach out to. Then I'm going to export the results. Or I can connect it to Smart Lead and put people into a campaign. Or instantly, for the template that I'm going to share with you today, I haven't done any of that part of like exporting to Smart Lead because I didn't know whether you were integrated with Smart Lead. So I wanted you to be able to export that data. So, competitor followers here. Here's Dave, ruined it. Here's Dave Gahar and Sangram V. Here's all the data that I got back from Scrapely. Again, $45 for 10,000 rows of data. I'm going to just copy this data here. So I think there's about 500 just as a sample. And I'm going to paste them into Clay. Steve, I know this was a bit of a few hours of your time wasted on trying to get data into Clay. I find rather than importing via CSV, just cover the amount of rows and columns that you want to, the amount of columns you want to paste, and paste and overwrite. You really have to get the number of columns right. It took me hours to work this one out. So now it's going to import all of this data. So what's happening automatically now, because I have everything set up, is it's talking to the Lead Magic API, and it's saying, hey Lead Magic, from the LinkedIn profile of the individual, tell me how many followers they have on LinkedIn. Tell me the latest job title they have, and the latest company URL profile, LinkedIn company URL. So it's pulling out all that data, and then, where did I paste from? So I didn't scroll down. So it's queuing as well. I think the Wi-Fi might not be great. Okay, so it should be working in sequence. So then it's going, all right, we found this person and we found their LinkedIn company API. Now look at the company that they're working at from their LinkedIn profile and tell me how many employees they have, what the description of the company on LinkedIn, so they have to have a LinkedIn company description, what's the website URL, the company name, the HQ country, and the industry that they're in. And you might be wondering, like, why am I asking for all that information? Well, it's because I want to define whether they fit my ICP or don't fit my ICP. And that's where the third enrichment, which is the OpenAI API with Clayagent works. So if I just go in here and show you the edit column. So what I'm asking it to do here is to analyze the following company data to determine if it fits our ideal customer profile. We operate in the following industries. So I'm listing out the industries that I want to sell to. They have an employee count between 10 and 2,000. I made this really broad just for the example today. They're located in the USA, major cities in Europe, Canada, UK, and Dubai. And here is the data. So the reason why I've had to enrich with Lead Magic is because I want this data to come through. And I found that running it through Clay natively was quite expensive, whereas the Lead Magic API is like $99 for 10,000 credits. And that 10,000 credits goes a really, really long way. So I've got the company description, the industry, the employee count, and I've also got the location. Then I'm asking it, as you said, Olivia, it's like you have to not end up with a no answer. So if it does fit my ICP, tell me it does. If it doesn't, tell me it doesn't. So if it fits the ICP, export or output fits ICP, or does not fit ICP, and provide a brief explanation if necessary. So I've got that running, and again, I think there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi here. So it's not working in real time. However, the ICP assessment, one last thing, sorry. One thing to save a lot of credits and a lot of money with Play is to give only run if. And this is a logic of like, if this, then that. So I know that I want to reach out to only people with the job title of founder, CEO, partner, whatever the job titles might be that you want to reach out to. So therefore, the OpenAI won't run if they don't match that criteria. So there's going to be people in these results which are, let me think, for example, HR. Because I don't want to target HR, I don't want to spend money on enriching that data. So that's why I'm using the only run if condition to help me save some cost on the ICP. And then last of all, I then want to find the email address for those people. So I've got the email waterfall. I'm using LeadMagic, Prospeo, and as a last resort, ICPs. These are the ones that I've just found to be really good. I also have a paid subscription to LeadMagic. I have a paid subscription to Prospeo. So whilst it's not free, it's still not costing me the credits in Clay. And what I'm doing here is waterfalling to find whether we have the data that we're looking for. And as you can see, the one that fits the ICP, so when I do find a company and a person that fits the company that I want to reach out to, then it looks for the email address. And I've got this person's email address here. Let's scroll down, I think there should have been a few more. Again, I don't think the data's running, and that's the thing, when you share a template, you break all of your setup as well, so that's something to keep in mind if you're sharing templates amongst your team. But here I've got the valid email of this person, and that's cost me 1 credit in LeadMagic, but not 1 credit in Clay. And again, sorry that the data's not fully working here. But that is the way to enrich, go back here. That's the way to identify who you want to reach out to and increase the likelihood that they'll be open to listening to you and you being able to sell to them. Then to acquire the data through either Scrapely or Triggerfy, not Phantom Buster if you want to save your LinkedIn account, qualify and enrich the data in Clay. And then of course you want to export that to Smartly, HeyReach, whatever tool. I've got one client who has saved about 30 hours a week from using this workflow because they were doing this manually, whereas now they can do it in rows in seconds. So what they have, again, I can't really show you their Clay table, but in this view, now out of 10,000 rows, they have 6 rows where they should go and prospect to. And what this team is doing is just reaching out directly on LinkedIn because they have the LinkedIn profile here. They started with that LinkedIn profile, but they had 10,000 other profiles, and they were literally going through LinkedIn to work out who it was. One of my other clients, they are running just cold email, just pure cold email. They're not referencing the competitor follower or the post that they've shared, but they're just, happen to reach out at the right time around a similar topic that might be of interest to that person. And they're getting a 27% reply rate, not all positive, of course, but 27% reply rate off the campaigns versus like a less than 1% reply rate when you're just targeting marketing manager or HR manager. So yeah, that's it. Any questions at all? I'm sorry that the data wasn't working.
And on the last part, that's what I wanted to ask, like if you're actually mentioning them what you're saying and not listening.
No, I prefer just let serendipity do its work rather than say like, hey, I see you raised some funds, buy my product. I think, which is the mistake a lot of people make. I think just timing is perfect, and you don't always have to allude to the fact that, oh, I saw that you liked Dave Gehart's post on founder-led branding. Just if you go in with the right message that solves a problem for the person that you're reaching out to, usually that's enough. And it depends who you're reaching out to as well. Like marketers, salespeople, they're more aware of like reverse IP lookup, so like, oh, you're on my site, so therefore I'm reaching out to you. If you send that to like a office administrator, you're gonna freak them the fuck out. Like they are not gonna be expecting that, and they're gonna be weirded out by it as well.
Some of those are like, how did you get that?
Exactly, yeah. And to a marketer as a salesperson, they're like, oh, I kind of know how you do it, so yeah, it's cool.
The first rule of stalking, you don't tell them it's stalking.
Absolutely, Steve. This is the second meetup where you've asked that question.
I do a very tedious manual process for this, and yeah, it works super well.
Yeah, and it is all about like just trying to find that 3%. If anyone's read the Chet Holmes Ultimate Sales Machine, it came out in like 2006, but if anything, the numbers have got smaller. but in the book he says that only 3% of your market are actively buying right now. 7% are open to buying, but the remaining 90% aren't even interested or not even open. But there are some sub-stats underneath that 90%. But I've always been about, how do I find the 10% who are at least more likely to reply to me? And that's why my campaigns have always performed better than just reaching out to every marketing manager in San Francisco, for example. So I want to find the ones that are more likely to be buying, more likely to be open to a conversation right now.
You showed that you're using the OpenAI API basically, and then you've got those other paid accounts. We're showing the cost of everything as well.
Oh yeah, great question, thank you. If I go here, so this was for one of my clients, anonymized a little bit. We spent $48, so we had just over 10,000 rows of data. We spent $236 on Lead Magic. I realized I did make a mistake. I should have put the condition of only run if they're the job title. That was a mistake. So this would probably be about half the cost, so $115. OpenAI, with that connection to Clay, was $5. The time, I was interested in seeing how long Clay took, and I just pressed the button and walked away, had lunch. We didn't have lunch for 2 hours, but walked away. Oh yeah, that's true, that's true. They gave me 9 posts to begin with, and with this particular client, they gave me their competitors, and what we found with looking at their competitors, the people who were engaging on their competitors' profiles were either selling the same service as they were or just not in market whatsoever. So what we did was like take a step back and say, well, like, who are the more influential, who are the more famous people in the industry that you want to reach out to? And we picked Dave Kahar, Simon Sinek, Adam Grant, I think was one of them. Some of these like big influencers, quite famous, because we wanted people who fit the criteria of the target audience they were reaching out to. So we had 12,000 records, and we found 60 ICP fits. So you could say they're qualified. They're not quite qualified because they haven't said they want to work with you, but there's 60 people who match your ICP criteria at a cost of, again, it would be a bit cheaper, but $4.84. And of course, this is up to you now to reach out to these people and start conversations with them. So rather than going after 12,000 people and just burning through your domains when it comes to outbound, this is about going after 60 people, not 12,000 people.
Amazing. And so like all those enrichment bits that you did with the OpenAI API configuration, that's just $5 basically, right? Like even though you have quite a few different steps.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we saved that money is because if they didn't get past the first enrichment, they didn't go to the second. If they didn't get past the second, we only went after them if they passed those 2 checks.
And how much info can you get via that page? Like you can get the previous job title, like how much stuff?
Yeah, with Lead Magic, it's phenomenal how much data you can get. So this is what, and this costs 1 credit in Lead Magic, and I said it was $99 for 10,000 credits. So it's a super cheap way of getting all of this information. Of course, these are previous again, the Wi-Fi is not great here.
All that's included in
1 credit.
Wow.
Yeah. So for 99, like when some of my clients say, oh, I don't want to add another subscription, I'm like, whoa, the amount of money and the amount of data you can get from it is definitely worth $99.
But like, just remember that people used to buy lists, without any specific data that you could use for your business for like hundreds of thousands of euros.
Can we go back to the person API itself?
Yep.
So all those, when you're editing columns, yeah, so I still struggle with mapping the right stuff from all that parent column data to the new columns. That's somewhat one-on-one level question, but there was a function that comes up when you go to something? Yeah, add as column.
Yes, yeah. So, and it's as easy as that, Steve. No. Where it gets complicated is if you want the last 2 lots of experience or the last 5 years of experience. Clay can get very complex when you try to do things like that. But I always try and bring back things to, do you really fucking need this? Is the question I ask all my clients. Like, how much do you need this data? Because the more data you need and the more complex you need to make the data, means it's going to take me a lot longer, it's going to cost you a lot more to get that data out. It's not about the 1 credit usage, it's about the man hours that goes into just making a table look presentable and pretty that you and your team can use. So I often push back on clients to say, yeah, that sounds great, but you really need it? Can we just go with this? It's not about being lazy, it's just understanding like how much time it takes to really map out all of that data. And Steve, we've had a conversation in the past of like using Ocean to do the lookalikes, and you get 10 lookalikes per row. That's when it gets really, really complicated.
I also spoke to my account manager there, and he says, do not, it's better to pay to export from Ocean and bring it into Clay.
Yeah.
They don't really know, they don't manage the API super well. Their product team doesn't
Mhm.
define using it. So,
Yeah, and Ocean have recently come out with a much more affordable plan to access that data, whereas before it was like 12 grand a year. You had to sign up for a year, whereas now it's like 100, maybe 79 or $175. And yeah, it's a really good source of data.
You can also use AI to filter on data on any of those columns and actually map it to the right thing. So if you go to like add as column,
Like here?
yeah, and then you have options.
Yeah.
You can do that. Sometimes
Okay. Any other questions before I hand over? Sorry.
You know, Scrapely, if they do like streaming scrapes as opposed to a static list or a static scrape, for example, scraping people that use your profile, does he offer that kind of?
No, because it's you need to give him the data and then he manually does it. But that's where Triggerfy can be really useful because this Dave Gahart and Sangram, I put these in yesterday for the purpose of just showing today, and they found for it's really small. Sangram is 768, and today 136. So there's 136 net new prospects that have engaged with Sangram. So Triggerfy can handle that for you, and then you can push that somewhere else with that net new data. But yeah, it's quite hard to do that with the static with Scrapely.cloud. But Scrapely.cloud is great for competitor followers. And I've even tested this with people. If you've got some competitors, like how many net new people follow that company account, and not many people follow company accounts as well. So I found it's not really worth it, and it's better to focus on people who are engaging in posts, whether they're liking or commenting.
I'm sure you find they don't use your LinkedIn session group.
I don't know how they do it. Maybe.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah, but they don't use your session cookies. They've got a direct integration with LinkedIn. Any more for any more? Go for it.
I have a question about a specific thing. It's about outbound coding. So I think you have this summarization of an email. Similar to that I've seen in a code as well. So you don't have a summary when you receive an email. At the same time, Gmail has a feature, supervision and stuff like that. So I think AI is great. I mean, it's great, but sometimes it's getting scary as well for not for summary is insane. Is it something good for outbound or
It's a great question. So the question is like AI is summarizing emails for people. So is it effective to send emails anymore? And I think the answer really is like you have to think about, can you sell car insurance to somebody who doesn't have a car? If someone doesn't have a car, they're never going to buy car insurance from you. However, if you reach out to somebody who does have a car and their policy is coming up because you've used triggers and some smart AI to work out when their policy is coming up, and you reach out with the right message at the right time, they could reply to you. Not guaranteed, but they could. There's more likelihood. So I'm all about like increasing the bats and the chances of people being able to reply. At the same time, I think LinkedIn and cold calling, I'm not an expert in cold calling. It's been many years since I've been in the boiler room making cold calls. But I think that cold calling is going to be one of the other channels that's going to see more increase as well with people doing it. It could, but I think it's illegal in the US. So I don't know what's going to be like in the EU. Yeah. It is creepy, yeah.
if it is getting summarized, then I just wonder, I mean, what is the meaning of personalizing email? That's what
also you could reverse the question because at some point you'll send a summary and then it will summarize the summary. You'll put it into GPT yourself to get a summary of the summary of the summary. At some point, what's left then?
Yeah. I think like if you can just increase the chance that this person is interested and most likely to be interested, you're going to have much better results with your email, even if their emails are being summarized. There's going to be some people who are in market who are just looking for solutions, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll take a call, or I want to learn more. And for the majority of emails, you just ignore them.
Yeah, sorry, I never heard about email summarization AI. You know who typically does that?
Oh,
You
is that
guys-
Gmail?
No, I mean, what ICT or what? I never heard about it.
Yeah, just a native in your Gmail, it starts showing up if you're using a tool like Superhuman. They give you like a little summary. Usually it starts happening when you have like a thread with someone, and you start going back and forth, and at the front it will show like a little summary.
Well, look, thank you all for the questions. I'll be around for a while after. Cheers.